Hi. Someone told me last year that I'm a keyboard warrior, and it's true. Hiding behind the written word is easy and safe. Recording this is probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I'll try to keep this short, but as you all know me, sometimes that's easier said than done. Holy Spirit, please give me your words and let this be done in your strength and not mine. I've spoken a lot about the miry pit that God rescued me from last year and about all the different idols of things that I placed above God. I had so many, and I wasted so much time playing games or scrolling on my phone for hours on end, binge watching shows on TV, or reading as many books as I could other than the Bible. However, they weren't the cause of my being chained in a miry pit. And I've only shared the true reason I was in that pit to begin with a few people, because admitting my old truth is so hard. I was desperately trying to fill this void in me that only God could fill. The more I tried to fill that void with worthless things, the emptier I felt. When I was about 6, I would have nightmares that would torture me and make me question if I was asleep or awake. One night when my parents were putting us kids to bed, I told my dad I didn't want to go to sleep because I was scared. He told me that if I asked Jesus into my heart, I wouldn't have nightmares anymore. My mom always sang about Jesus, and we read Bible stories and prayed together, so I knew who Jesus was, but I didn't know he could live in my heart. I was really ready for peaceful sleep. So my dad led me in a simple prayer. Sure enough, the nightmares ceased, and I fell so in love with my new best friend. When I was 8, my parents bought me my first Bible. I read it until it split apart, and my parents bought me a new Bible when I turned 12. That Bible to this day looks practically new because it was around that time I discovered a new love. I was an avid reader since I was 6, and my parents tried to foster healthy reading habits by giving me all the Christian novels and mystery books I could possibly want. But one day at a thrift store, as my mom was shopping for clothes for my siblings, I picked up a random book that was not a good book. A sappy romance novel with words far too big for a 12-year-old innocent girl like me. This book started the path that eventually led to being addicted to erotica, which is another name for smutty books. I justified this was okay because it didn't have any pictures. Word pictures soon became not enough and led to an addiction to pornography that I struggled with for most of my adult life. Juan and I have been married for almost 27 years, and it's been quite the journey. Our life was pretty good until my mom committed suicide 20 years ago when she was only 43. From a combination of untreated bipolar disorder and an overwhelming desire to be with Jesus, even if she got there herself. With me being the eldest of 8 kids, I thought her death was my fault, and the guilt nearly crushed me. I was a mess, and Juan, my husband, was at a loss on how to help me grieve in a healthy manner. Our marriage was literally falling apart at the seams, and we didn't know how to fix it. Slowly but surely, my life was spiraling out of control. Sorry, not a bit nervous at all. I tried seeking consolation and wasting as much time as I possibly could in meaningless things, ignoring both Juan and our kids. When I wasn't drowning my sorrows and my idols of distractions and pornography, I was an angry mess, doing the bare minimum to care for my family and retreating to my distractions as quickly as I possibly could. Every time I fell into the trap of erotic or pornography, I would ask God to look away. I couldn't stand the thought of him seeing what I was. Nothing I watched seemed enough to fill me. I watched some pretty gnarly stuff, and I'm thankful God kept me from allowing even worse things into my mind. I believe the enemy's lies that what I was doing was okay because my marriage was a mess. The deceiver whispered into my ear that I could always ask for forgiveness and God would have to forgive me. 70 times 7, right? But the further I fell away, I stopped asking for forgiveness because I felt so unworthy and sank deeper into the pit that threatened to drown me. The chains I wore, I put on with my own hands. All of that changed April of 2024 when I attended a mountaintop retreat called 3 Días, which is 3 days in Spanish. I was a broken shell of the person I used to be, feeling so far from God, so empty, and so unsure if I could ever feel whole and complete again. I truly was at my rock bottom. But God, He made sure I made it to where I needed to be and reminded me of the immense love He has for me. Someone said on the mountain, if you were the only person to have existed for all eternity, Jesus would have died for just you. If Jesus could give all of Himself for my salvation, then I could give Him all of me. I opened my heart to His gentle knocking, where He'd been patiently waiting for years, and He came in with a roar. He tore off my chains, ripped me out of my pit, and saved my soul. I fell in love with Him all over again and put Him back at the center of my life where He needs to be. When you seek God first, He truly does take care of everything else. I love the verse that says, seek me and you will find me if you seek me with all of your heart. And that's what He's taught me to do. I was at Celebrate Recovery when I realized two important things. He helped me realize where my life had fallen apart and where I started pushing Him out of my heart. Even though my childhood was rough, my parents tried so hard to teach us about God and His love. So how could I have drifted so far away? One well-timed testimony revealed that my choice to continue in my sin was the direct action that led to my time of being lost in the darkness. Another perfect testimony 2 weeks later opened my eyes to the fact that my curiosity about intimacy from a young age wasn't my fault. I knew from the time I was 6 that one of the main reasons my parents fought was because my dad wanted more intimacy than my mom did. She was too busy having a baby every 2 years, but also felt like God didn't want her to use birth control. Therefore, that's why I have 7 siblings. Realizing that I had an unhealthy dose of exposure that led to this unhealthy fascination was truly freeing. 6 is way too young for a child to know how babies are made. I spent my whole life feeling like there was something wrong with me and that I was broken beyond repair. God tenderly whispered to me as He healed my heart, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You're not a mistake. I created you to desire me. His love healed those parts of me that had shamed me for so long, those parts of me that I tried to hide. He knew where I was the most broken, and He knew how to fix me because He created me. For the first time ever, I was and am whole, complete, and healed. Even though our life was so much better than it used to be, it wasn't perfect. And I almost fell into the temptation of pornography again. I had never been at this height with my faith, and a fall from that height would have probably ruined me. I know God can redeem all things, but the thought of picking up my old sin terrifies me. The pit I would have fallen back into would have been many times deeper, and my chains would have been multiplied. I don't know if I would have been able to get out again. God showed me His love for me as my heavenly husband and kept me from falling back into that miry pit. Renewing the flame of the love I had for Jesus as a child helped me love my earthly husband the way he needed. And before I even realized how or when it happened, our marriage was fixed. Like I said, it's not perfect, but we're at peace and have the love for each other that Paul talks about in Ephesians 5:22-28. I love one like I love Jesus, and He loves me the way Christ loves His church. We shield and support each other and are best friends instead of worst enemies. I had to give God the pain of a seemingly wasted life. If only I had put Him and my family first a long time ago, everything would have been so different. But through this incredible journey, I have come to be truly thankful for the scars that I carry, because they helped me learn who He is and who I am to Him. I am His daughter, His princess. I am His bride that He's washed white with His own blood. I am forgiven, chosen, and redeemed. 1 Corinthians 5:17 reminds me that I am a new creation and the old has passed away. Ephesians 5:14 declares, awake, O sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. God brought me back to life because I was dead inside. Being chained in the darkness and set free has a purpose, so I can turn around and help other people who are chained in the muck and mire like I was. Like Psalm 40 verse 2 says, He rescued me out of the miry muck and clay and set my feet on a firm foundation. Christ is that very foundation, and I cling to him with everything that I am. One who has been forgiven much, loves much. I wish this new life could have started a long time ago, but Joel 2:25 reminds me that God is restoring the lost years the locust ate. Most of all, like it proclaims in Isaiah 61:3, He has turned my mourning into dancing, clothed me with the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, and given me beauty for ashes, all in his perfect time. So this is my story for his glory. Thanks for listening.